Podcast. We are into week 2 of the NFL season.
Yes.
Arch, it's good to be back. How are you?
Something happening in my end. I don't know what's going on. There we are. I'm good. Just coming in from a late night at work, so pumped to be talking to you now, Rob.
That's good. Yeah, it's been too long again. I feel like that lull period between sitting in and watching Tuesday night football, Monday night football. Goodness, Russell Wilson just absolutely crapping the bed, and the coaching staff really, I should say, they just did not.
Well,
it was a funny thing. It was very disappointing. But here we are. Tomorrow we've got a big game between Kansas City and Los Angeles Chargers. Really pumped for that one. It's going to be fantastic. But anyway, guys, we're here to talk about the main slate, which is coming up on Monday for us here in Australia. It's going to be good. But in the meantime, you can check us out on Twitter and Facebook at the TFL Podcast, and make sure you like and subscribe here on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, then jump in on the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and we also want to make sure that you hit that bell, hit the like and subscribe. Yes. Subscribe's a very important one. Hey, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts as well, 5-star reviews never go unnoticed. So we'd really appreciate that as well. You can join Draftstars and play along with us at bit.ly/join Draftstars, and we have our contest, our TFL contest up and about. It's bit.ly/TFL week 2. Yes, you can see it there on the screen if you're with us on YouTube as well. It's been a big week. How
9 people in there last week, so that was good.
Yes, we did. That was really good. It was great to play with a whole bunch of different people, and hey, I don't think I cashed, which is sad, but that's all right. We'll live. Not in that one. But Arch, how was your week 1?
Look, the main slate was we were down a little bit as the madness that is getting to know how the teams are playing using all their players. So there was, not the greatest starts, but they made it all back in the showdowns, Rowan. So we did. We did pretty well Sunday night football, and then Monday taking out the mini with you and 16 other people with the lineup. But hey, I'll take it. So there we are.
That's it. I mean, that's just showdowns, isn't it? So often that the winning lineup is shared by quite a lot of people. So it's just a different beast to the Monday main slate. But hey, it's a bit of fun. I really enjoy my showdowns. So that's just life. We'll keep going on with that. My Monday, wasn't so good. I had a lot of Mike Williams. He stunk it up big time. Hurt all my Herbert stacks.
Yes.
It was like, I should have had DeAndre Carter, apparently. So that was the one that I should have gone with. But not enough Mahomes and Kelsey either to really make it all work. So not so good for me. But Arch, we want to have a look at the winner, don't we? We want to have a look at Monkarai, who's took out the $50,000 main slate here on Monday. And we've got access here to DFS Australia's fantastic NFL research tool. So head along to dfsaustralia.com to find this stuff here. But Arch, what can you tell us here about Monkarai builds? What stood out to you as you looked at this kind of stuff throughout the week?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, let's if we go to absolute basics, 150 lineups, he max enters, which is something that if you want to consistently win, it's just something you have to do. And as you scroll through, you can see a lot of quarterback stacks. I mean, and he's really spread through, has hit a lot of different teams, lots of darts on the board there. But where he hit was the Mahomes stack. And it was a game I foolishly, I guess, in retrospect, faded. But potentially the only way you got there is if you avoided any bringbacks. And so it was a little bit of a different week 1. This week could be similar potentially. But you can see there the Mahomes-Kelsey stack was where it's at. McCole Hardman. I'll get there in the end. We got there. So, my volumes needs to go up. So there we are. But yeah, so having that Kelsey stack was really important. But obviously, hitting on a couple of the different pieces is where he differentiated himself. Cordero Patterson was under-owned, benefited from a Damien Williams injury, as well as hitting on Corey Davis. And if you actually look at his ownership, which is in another tool, you don't have to go into it if you want to, Rowan, but he was 50% exposure to Corey Davis. No one else would have been that high on Corey Davis, and that's where it hit. And so a lot of rookie love on Garrett Wilson potentially for the field, and there was always this Corey Davis fear, and so at almost minimum price, he's come in and hit that well.
Yeah, he has. I think actually one of the things I noticed as well, you're looking at this, and he's got a team here with a couple of players that actually weren't optimal. Like you're looking at Dalvin Cook, who only hit 13.8 points, Randall Cobb, who only hit 3.4, and it was really the other pieces that smashed him. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, Cordero Patterson, great. Devonta Adams, awesome. And then Cole Hardman and Kelsey made up back. And then, Justin Jefferson, what a game he had with the Pittsburgh defense. Pittsburgh defense just won people a lot of money on the weekend. Unfortunately, one that I'd faded. So, really, you don't actually have to hit every single piece to as we see here. So, there's always a shot. You're always in with a shot. So, well done to Munkaraga. He's done very, very well for himself. And we look forward to seeing his other things.
Do you want to bring up the stacking tool? I think that would be worthwhile having a look at. Just seeing just basic building blocks of an NFL GPP team. If you have a look there you can see starts with a whole bunch of Baltimore stacks with jet bringback. So that would be your Corey Davises coming back there. Every lineup he's stacked quarterbacks with wide receivers. Not sure, the Joe Flacco was speculative, but when you've got the track record of Munkarai guy, you don't question. Look at the Jameis Winston double stacks. Love that with the CPAT bringbacks. You can see he's got some Baker stacks, but as I guess the moral of the story is, we had to stack, and you can see he's taken the stand that with Kansas City, I'm stacking, but he's not bringing back, and he's got the mini correlations as well. So if you have a look at the Green Bay Minnesota game, if you want to stack one matchup, and you want to get another higher point total, Green Bay and Minnesota get potentially, if that becomes a shootout as well, you got access to two big games and big pieces there. So excellent sort of lineup building, as you can see, Ron.
Yeah, that's it. It's been good. Like I said, dfsaustralia.com if you want to access some of this fantastic material. So, Arch, that brings us to looking at a bit of DFS school. We've got a couple minutes here to talk about. You want to talk about bankroll management. Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, look, I love playing DFS, but I don't know if you've been there, but sometimes you get smashed in a week and you can just want to give up on DFS. And basically what I don't want is to be here for just a short time. I want to be a long-term player. And also want to make sure that I play responsibly and I still can put food on the table of my family, Ron. So I have some pretty hard rules, and I guess one thing that we are together, we're quite accountable to each other. We let each other know how we're going with, your wins and losses. I think that's important. But generally, I've got a bankroll that I'm comfortable playing with on Draftstars. And my rule on any given slate is I'm not going to play more than 10% of my bankroll. And so I found that's been a useful tool. And as you do it, because you're not burning through your whole bankroll, you come back the next week. And then after that, if you start to get successful, you build that bankroll, and then you have a little bit, 10% of a bigger sum roll, and as you'd know, is more. So
that's right. Well done.
And so look, I just want to encourage people just to be, think about, don't burn through your bankroll early. I think that's just, especially if you're new to Draftstars, it can be a bit of fun at the start, but just play smart and responsibly so you can enjoy it and not be so stressed out on a Monday morning. I also think contest selection's key as well. I think if you're starting out, find out what you're good at. On Draftstars, there's multiple, lots of different contests. The big ones are tournaments where really it's the top 20% get, cash out, but it's really only the top 10, top 20 make real good returns on those contests. And so you want to, you just need to go into them understanding that you're probably going to lose more than you win at the start. And so not to go play too heavy in those. And then the other type of contest we call cash, right? And so whenever you hear the word cash, you're looking at where there's basically a 50-50 chance of you cashing or not. And so that comes in the form of a head-to-head matchup, or potentially the double-ups where the top half of the field, or slightly less than half, will cash and double their money. You don't get the big payouts, but potentially it just helps you slowly build. And I think that's, I guess, our first season, Ron, was that real slow build of playing, small scale stuff, getting a little bit of a bankroll. And now that we've got bigger bankrolls, we're still not quite at the level of Munkaray Guy where we can throw in 150 lineups in the main. But the hope is that with time that we'll get there organically. And so, I just thought it's worth just, we're gambling responsibly here, Ron.
Of course. No, that's right. You want to find out where it fits for you, what's been working for you, and yeah, the great thing about is that Draftstars does offer a whole range of opportunities to jump in, albeit from free entries all the way to the $15 entries, and more for those who are like Munkaray, who have earned their way to the top.
Yes. But a good way to get started, Ron.
It is. No, it is a good way.
He's on our contest.
He is. That's right. So get in, guys. We'd love to play with you. That's for sure. Arch, I think it's time to jump into our NFL main slate for week 2. Let's do it now. Let's go.
Oh, yeah! 2. Week 2, preview time. Ha!
Alrighty.
It's back. I did it properly that time, Ron.
Yeah, it was great. And yeah, I just love your enthusiasm. It gets me going every single week. It's good stuff. All right. Now.
Yeah, what are we doing?
We're going to jump into the first matchup. It's an over-under of 54, but Arch, unfortunately, you've left the caption as Kansas City here, which I'm going to blame you and call you out for 100%. So I'll let you fix that while I talk.
Thanks.
The first game of the week that we're going to look at is Arizona at Las Vegas. And we've got an over-under of 52. Vegas are coming in as 6-point favorites. And fair enough. Arizona last week, abysmal in terms of their secondary. They were putting up, they were the worst DVOA. We talked about DVOA last week. DVOA is this a way to kind of judge whether a team is good or not against the average of the league. In terms of their pass defense, Arizona last week, the worst. And Las Vegas, the third worst when it comes to pass DVOA. So I'm looking at this game and going, there is a shootout waiting to happen. So I'm pumped for Murray. I'm pumped for Derek Carr. I'm pumped for the receivers. And this is, they're going to have to there's going to be a lot of passing. This is the way to beat both of these teams.
Yes.
So let's look at Carr first. He's sitting there at 12.8K. Pretty tasty considering Mahomes put up 360 yards and 5 touchdowns through the air against Arizona last week. So Derek Carr coming in at 12.8. Pretty solid. What we're going to look at here is we're going to look at the Draftstars board. So if you're following with us on YouTube, you can have a look as well. So I'm going to pull up the Las Vegas, Arizona game here. We can see the prices of the players. Yeah, Derek Carr, 12.8K you're looking at. And clearly you want to pair him up with Devontae Adams. And I think based on what we saw last week with Arizona, Devontae Adams is going to be chalk, heavy chalk. I think everyone's going to be playing him. But I think I just want to eat that chalk, to be honest.
Gobble it up.
Why not? Like, seriously, Devontae Adams was everywhere. He was Derek Carr's favorite receiver by far. He came in and looked like he'd been playing with that group for a very, very long time. So Devontae Adams, I think, is just a clear premium play everywhere. So play Devontae Adams, play Derek Carr. I think that's probably going to be one of the favored stacks of the week. But I do want to talk about another stack of mine, which is the Kyler Murray stack. And you look at here, and he's 15K. That's a lot, right? But in terms of how we want to actually play this game and we want to stack, the Kyler Murray stack is cheap. It's really cheap. So if I'm looking at Kyler Murray, 15K, but if I want to pair him up, I've got Marquise Brown, who new to the system, of course, but him and Kyler Murray have developed a pretty good relationship. 9.8K. 9.8K. It's dropped it below the 10K. Anyone below the 10K, I'm really seeing as a value play here. And Marquise Brown as the number one receiver for Arizona against the Las Vegas secondary that was third worst in DVOA last week. That's a great play for me. Marquise Brown I like. And the other guy, if I have to scroll down, fair way here, but it's a guy by the name of Greg Dortch. And Greg Dortch put up 13.3 points last week as a 6K player. Guess what? He's still 6K. And he's come in, he had a really good preseason. Like, let's be honest. Like, no one really wants to talk about Greg Dortch, but he's really filling the number 2 role in Las Vegas at the moment. He took 7 catches for 63 yards. This is PPR. We love that. Yeah. So he was the leading target getter on the team. Like I'm not going to just go and say, oh, he was just filling a role. He's just not going to do that this like. You earned the targets. I believe you earned the targets. And so Dortch is here. He's earned the targets. So if this is going to be a shootout, I love my Kyler Murray, Greg Dortch, Marquise Goodwin stack. Marquise Brown stack. I think it saves a lot of salary. It allows you to pay up at running back. It allows you to get different elsewhere. So I'm a really big fan of that. So that's one of my favorite plays on the slate, that's for sure. A couple other things. Connor, he's a decent leverage play. He's sitting there with 6 targets last week. However, Las Vegas were pretty good against the run, 8th best in rush DVOA last week, with Eckler there only going for 14 carries for 36 yards on the ground. Like, that's not fantastic. So really my preferred way is I could stack either side, like we said, because the pass defense is so poor. And I'm happy to go either side with this one. But I think, to be honest, the Murray stack allows you to get different elsewhere and bring it back. Brings one back with Devontae Adams. Heck, I think Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow could all bowl out in this game. So I'm a big fan of this game. All around, so I'm going to play it a lot. These are going to be 2 of my main stacks, I think, which is it's kind of scary when you're kind of pinning it in on one game, a lot of your lineups.
But so scary.
But it just feels like this is going to be the one that there's going to be a lot of fantasy points scored. So I'm pretty happy to focus in on this one. Any thoughts from you, Arch, before we move on to the next one?
No, I think you're on it there. I think with your Derek Carr stacks, this potentially, again, as we saw with the Mahomes stacks, you don't have to bring it back if you feel that Arizona are a hot mess.
That's true. It's just so cheap. To play Dortch at that price.
There's still some value.
Like, why not? It's true. All right, you're talking about Washington and Detroit. That's our second matchup.
So let's have a look at here. This is such a weird game. It's opened at a 42 over-under and has been bet up to 49 now. That's where we're sitting with Detroit as 2-point favourites. I guess that's pretty much just no one knows what's going on between these two teams. And, hey, you're the home team, have a 2-point favourite here. So this is a game I'm keeping an eye on the Lions a little bit. The Lions, not the Lions, as we get closer to kickoff, to just sort of see where the big sharp money comes, whether they bet it down or not at the end. I mean, if this gets bet up to 50 or any higher, even now, like, hit the unders. Like, that's a pretty safe move there potentially. Or it's a shootout. Goff and Wentz just can pass. And so, look, I don't mind pieces either side here. I think these are ugly. People aren't going to feel good about playing these pieces, but hey, they can still score fantasy points, Rowan. So a Goff, Amon-Ra, St. Brown stack would go brilliantly. Let me just bring up something. Tim Abtree, at Abtree on Twitter. He's hooked me up with some good stats lately. And so
Brilliant.
I've been looking at routes and route participation particularly. And what we're seeing from Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first week, I mean, obviously he's their guy. He's on the field for 90% of the passing work. But he every time they pass the ball, 35% of the time it goes to him. He is commanding targets. He is a beast. His target share is outrageous. He is an alpha wide receiver. It's not just because of injuries. I think now we can just put it to bed. He's a gun. And under 11.5, yes, please. And I pair him with a pretty cheap Goff. I mean, you can do a lot of things elsewhere in your lineup with a stack starting with this, including, throwing in Swift as well. He can do a lot. I mean, that's their offense, isn't it?
It is 100%. It's Swift and Amon-Ra for me. That's the two that I really want.
Yep. Jamal Williams, look, he fell in the end zone a couple times, does that mean he's got the goal line work? Part of me gets a little bit afraid, but I just probably I want to go with the volume that Swift has. So Jamal Williams at 8K probably will command some ownership. I'll leave that alone. On the other side, I mean, Wentz threw the ball a lot last week, and so who did we see but old Curtis Samuel rear his head after? Look, where has he been? He's been injured.
It's a blast from the past. That's what it is.
Oh, it was good for him to come back. And they haven't priced him up too much either. He's just a smidge over 9K. At the end of the day, he's on the field. Basically, it's 3 wide receiver sets a lot. Or the Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. They're all they're on the field for 90% of passing downs, all of them together. And so, not all together, but overall. So, they every now and again, one might be off, but they're on the field all the time. There's no one else. Targets are coming. The only thing that maybe gives me pause is Jahan Dotson after a 2-touchdown week. Box score chasers will be attracted to the 7.7K price. But he was on the field a lot, but he only had 5 targets and only 3 catches. Just 2 of the catches happened to be in the end zone, so we remember him. All right, so the usage wasn't there. He's not potentially not separating as much as he needs to. So I do like Samuel and Terry McLaurin potentially as pivots off maybe probably Terry McLaurin's the under-owned piece here because people are pretty up and about Curtis Samuel. What do you think about who to play here?
Yeah, look, my favorite play is Curtis Samuel based on usage. I think he had 11 targets last week. Like that's fantastic. So I'm probably gonna follow that for 9.2K. They like to use him in the back line as well. Like he's got 17 rush yards there. Like he's a guy that is versatile. So you appreciate the opportunities. I think that's the thing. Like he's gonna get more opportunities than Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. I think that's the key thing here. So I'm a big fan of Curtis Samuel against a Detroit defense that gave up 38 points last week.
Other one to look at is Antonio Gibson in this matchup as well. We saw some good usage from him. 8 targets, which is good to see. 7 catches from that, 72 yards. He was on the field. Basically, he was earning 35% targets per route run. And so
it's impressive.
He's earning targets. He must be getting good separation, or Wentz is checking down. Basically, he's catching the ball, which is what we want to see in fantasy. Didn't get a touchdown, I don't believe.
No, he didn't.
And so 20 points without a touchdown, that's pretty nice in week 1. Obviously, McKissick, basically him and McKissick was 50-50 split on passing down work as a running back. So it'll be, if that stays as it is, I'm not too, I don't mind a bit of Antonio Gibson.
No, I think he's a great bring back for the Detroit stack. So I'm a fan of that. All right, let's move on to a next game. Atlanta at the Rams, and Atlanta here are sitting at 10-point underdogs. Atlanta are. The Rams, after that belting by the Buffalo Bills, are probably going to be gearing up for just a smackdown. Like that's probably what you'd be imagining, right? Like they get beaten Bills, they're here at home, and they get the Atlanta Falcons, a bottom pit team, and surely they're going to come out swinging, right? The thing is, Cooper Cup is $18,000 on the slate. He is the most expensive player on the slate. And, he's Cooper Cup. Like, he's going to be good.
Cooper Cup.
He's like, he was the most expensive guy on the slate for many, many weeks last year and still paid off. Like, a 30-point average is not out of the question here. So Cooper Cup's fantastic. The interesting thing is, and we saw this last week, is that even though Cooper Cup does well, Stafford may not. And that's probably the thing I query about this game is, where is Stafford? And yes, he's a stacking option. Yes, it's against the Falcons. So you think that Stafford's going to step up. Like, last week was Stafford's worst performance as a Ram. So surely he comes into this game with Cooper Cup, thinking about Allen Robinson, hopefully, and to double stack this game seems appropriate. Now, I want to flick to the other side, and Arch, I want to bring up our value of the week. If you want to hit that little clip for me, and then we'll jump into that one. But there's someone that I really want to play.
Inconceivable. Inconceivable.
It is inconceivable in my mind that Marcus Mariota is 9.8K, and he is our value of the week. Now, let me just talk you through this. Marcus Mariota has been a solid quarterback throughout the whole preseason, and he backed it up last week with a pretty nice performance against the typical tough New Orleans Saints. He threw for 215 yards. That's fine, whatever. But most importantly, he rushed 12 times for 72 yards and a score. That is a phenomenal floor that we'd love to see in a quarterback. It's akin to other rushing quarterbacks such as Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. And it's clear that the Falcons are going to utilize this rushing part of his game. We saw it when he was in Las Vegas a lot last year. He'd come on for those small plays and rush the ball deliberately. That would be the play. So at under 10K on Draftstars, he's priced as the 19th quarterback overall. But last week, he scored as the QB 10 last week. And he also doubled his price last week, hit that 20-point mark. So in this game, they're going to use him as a runner. Like, that's just going to be the thing. Damian Williams is out. They want to use Marcus Mariota on the ground. But also, if they're behind, he's going to be throwing. He has to be able to try and catch up. And with weapons like Pitts and Drake London, I think he can perform admirably here, at least to give us a solid floor, at least to hit 2 times his salary, which is a fantastic return. So that's why he's our value play of the week. Thinking though,
like that.
Stacking him with London and Pitts, I think is a great spot. Like, both of these guys had 7 targets last week, both 8.8K. Like, they're both cheap. Drake London, I really am bullish on this week. I know they're coming up against the Rams, and I think, like, I'm not going to go out there and play 50% Atlanta stacks. Like, that would be foolish. But the reality is that there is an avenue to, there is an avenue to success here for the Falcons, not in terms of a win. I don't think they're going to win by any stretch, but I think that they might have to perform. They might have to pass a lot, get the fantasy points rolling in. So, Pitts is, I think, great value this week as well. In terms of a bring back, I really like Henderson this week. Henderson, is coming up against this Falcons defense that last week, the whole New Orleans team averaged 7.9 yards per carry. And even if I take away Taysom Hill's 57-yarder, they're still averaging 6.7 yards a carry. Like, these guys were easy to run on. So Henderson, I think, is going to be a fantastic value here. Henderson sitting only at about 12K. So for me, my favorite play of the week is an Atlanta stack with a Henderson or a Cup bring back. And that's how I'd really like to play this game.
Where are your thoughts with Allen Robinson? I mean, everyone is off him after 1 week. Are we overreacting?
No, yes, we are overreacting. This is Sean McVay. This is the Rams offense. Like, McVay came out and said, we want to get Robinson the ball. He only had, what was it, 3 targets last week? I can't quite remember. What was it, 2? There you go. So I'm looking at this and going, Allen Robinson's in a spot now where he has an easy matchup where they can manufacture touches for him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get above the 6 target mark as they try and get him involved into the game. So Allen Robinson is, I wouldn't call him washed just yet, Nick, but I would say that he is teetering. We have to be mindful of him.
At the end of the day, he was on the field for 81% of passing work. So, like, it's not like they're not putting him out there. And so I would hold off a week, see if he can start separating and
Yes.
earning those targets again.
For sure. Next up, we got the Colts taking on Jacksonville. Take us through this one.
Yeah, so look, over-under of 46 was starting to get a bit low now, Rowan, aren't we?
We are.
These aren't the games we normally like to sort of highlight, but this is a rough slate. And so we need to look at all these pieces. But here we are, Matt Ryan versus Trevor Lawrence. But this has to be a get-right game for Ryan. He wouldn't be happy with that debut for the Colts. Jacksonville let Wentz pass all over them in week 1. So the hope is that trend continues. But the pieces still, Michael Pittman. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
He just great. Like, it was just nice just throwing him into the lineup and just not worrying about it. 94% route participation. Like, he is their guy. The next closest is Paris Campbell at 77% passing work. So he's out there as well. I've always had a soft spot for Paris Campbell. He's someone that I've always hoped does well, but have never been able to put it together. So I hope he can stay healthy, perhaps start earning some targets. But he's out there, so he can do it. But other things I was flirted with Mo Alley Cox a bit last week. He was out snapped by Granson as just a little bit over 50% work. So it's not a clear Mo Alley catch a touchdown. So I'll probably want to look elsewhere for my punt tight ends. So, a little bit disappointed that Mo Alley Cox isn't as more involved as he has been before. On the other side, Jacksonville, 71% pass rate. That's 8th in the league. So this is why this game can be interesting. We could see both sides pass the ball a lot. Jacksonville got 44 dropbacks for Trevor Lawrence. So post Urban Meyer, things are looking a lot better already. So that's they've got a clear top 3 wide receivers in Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Marvin Jones. They're the 3. No one else is going. Evan Ingram is probably the 4th. He's on the field 80% of the time. So love him as a low price tight end again this week. I think he can do some things. But I'm just looking at this game, thinking, all right, how do we stack this one? I like the Trevor Lawrence side. Just really thinking, we've got the young up and coming quarterback with a new coaching scheme. Christian Kirk didn't do too much in that first 20.7, but there were so many big games out there. He didn't catch a touchdown. That's probably why he's a bit forgettable for me, but you can see the usage there. Stacking him with Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a great move. And one of the Joneses. I think a good little two stack here. Bringing it back with, it's just Pittman or JT every time. Like, it writes itself, these stacks, doesn't it, on the Trevor Lawrence side? Whereas if you're stacking Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan was it was a bit of a worry, and I don't want to invest too much in his future at the moment. So if I'm going to Ryan, it would be probably just a mini stack with Pittman, and I probably don't feel like I want to do a double stack with Matt Ryan. Don't know if he will get right like I hope he does. But I think mini stacks without any quarterback in this game is worthwhile. A Pittman Kirk or a Pittman Zay Jones or Marvin Jones could be something you can throw on the top of lineups for pretty good value as well.
Yeah, I like that, Arch. I think as well, let's not forget that the Colts stacks, or the Colts players, are going to have inflated stats because of that overtime as well. So
Yep.
Just got to be wary of them. Not saying that for Taylor and Pittman, but for Matt Ryan particularly, he crossed that 350-yard mark, but really it was a lot of nothing. Only one touchdown and an interception with all of that as well. So yeah, I'm not a big Matt Ryan fan this week. Campy, thank you very much for your first time comment. I don't know if I believe that, Campy. If you're on YouTube with us, yeah,
pretty much did a whole episode just me and him, right? Remember when I got him into DFS? And
yes, that's it. That's right. That was a very good time.
It's my access to cheap wine. Just to answer his question, where
Sure.
has all my wine gone? That rack was full last season. My access to my cheap Barossa wine has disappeared, and so It's been slow depletion, and I'm trying to find some more wine sources. So if anyone out there can hook us up, feel free to contact me at the TFL Podcast.
That's right. Oh, funny. Last game of that we're going to particularly preview here is our Miami at Baltimore. This is an interesting game for mine. I mean, Lamar Jackson is just a cash play king. I think every time we come into a slate, we're like, is Lamar Jackson on the slate? I'll probably play him because of that rushing floor. Now, he's 15K. It's a lot. But last week, he scored 21 points, and that was without rushing really at all. He's only had 17 rush yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns last week. So the Lamar Jackson stack, when he goes off, it's often because, he does hit the he hits a rushing threshold, but he also passes for touchdowns as well. So Lamar Jackson here, I'm never afraid to stack Lamar Jackson. He's coming into Miami are coming into Baltimore, but facing Miami look all right. They were pretty solid against New England last week. They didn't need to do anything really against New England last week. New England just all sorts at the moment with Mac Jones and that offense. So really, they don't need to put up the massive numbers that they might actually have to this week against a really solid team in Baltimore. So Miami coming in to look pretty nice. Tyreek Hill priced here at 12.6K. That's cheap for what Tyreek can do. Tyreek last week, he put up 8 for 94. He also got involved a little bit in the back field there as well. But just add a touchdown to this, he's breaking his double, he's by 2 times easily. So I'm a big fan of Tyreek Hill just as a solo play, to be honest.
Scheme him open big time.
Big time. So no, I'm a big fan here of Tyreek Hill. I think this is, definitely got the potential to hit the over. It's over under a 45. So looking here at Lamar and Tua both having opportunity to score well. And I think with Tua here sitting at that 1.9K price, I really like what he could do here in terms of building a little stack here with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You've got all 3 guys for under 35,000. That's pretty sweet. So pretty happy with that. Now, one thing I would like to kind of throw as like a sneaky thought here is Chase Edmonds. Last week,
sneaky.
No, maybe not. But Baltimore last week gave up an average of 5.2 yards to carry to the New York Jets running backs last week, as well as 19 targets. Now, it's Joe Flacco last week. He's a check down king. I get that. But let's just think of the guy that's in that similar role. It's Chase Edmonds at 10.6K. You're looking at a guy here who's, I don't think, going to be highly owned. He's not going to be chalky. He's not going to be seen as like, the key cash play or anything like that. But in terms of a Baltimore stack, I think bringing it back with Chase Edmonds is pretty nice. Yep. So I'm pretty big fan of Chase Edmonds here. Let's just like Tyreek and Waddle, I think, are fantastic plays as well. So you can stack this either way. Like, I think there's a lot of avenues for points here. And I think because both teams have really solid offenses, Lamar with Mark Andrews and then Duvernay and Bateman both showing up last week. That was really impressive. And now on the other side, adding Tyreek Hill into the mix, I think you can really play around with this game in quite a few stacks. So whether you're stacking Lamar or Tua, I think this one might hit the over here of that over under 45. So I'm a fan of this game, but probably my least favorite game still to play compared to the other 4.
Yeah.
I don't know where you sit with that, Arch.
Yeah, look, it's just but a slim pickings out there, really. So we'll just see how we go. Come closer to lock, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. All right, that's our 5 matchups of the week. We're going to run through each position now just to kind of give you 2 best plays and 2 value plays at each position here. So, Arch, start us off with the quarterback or stack that we haven't mentioned that you might want to play.
So I'm thinking that, really, I probably have covered most of the quarterbacks already that I like, but I think someone we want to keep an eye on maybe is Russell Wilson. He would have been pretty disappointed with his week 1 outing, not getting the win, but as you can see there, there's still fantasy points to be had, and so I don't mind playing him potentially in cash as well. I think you watch him and Cortland Sutton, they'll start to develop more and more chemistry, and we saw Jerry Jeudy come into play too. So I think there's still some Denver stacks available for there. Whoops.
Good call. I think, Russell Wilson always brings Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy into the mix as well. So, Russell Wilson is...
Not Albert O.
No, well, hit a little bit. Anyway.
Not as much as I wanted.
No, not from our showdowns plays. Anyway, my quarterback play that we need to consider is Joe Burrow. Dallas, in all sorts. Their offense. Obviously, they've lost Dak Prescott, and so with that, I'm looking at this going, okay, you know what? This is an opportunity for Joe Burrow to just be on the field a lot, and that's important. So Joe Burrow here with Chase and potentially not Higgins. Keep an eye on that news. But Hayden Hurst or Tyler Boyd, like those guys are going to fill the gaps there, and they're going to be on the field a lot. So Joe Burrow here is a decent play for mine. Now, a value play at quarterback. I've already mentioned my favorite value play at quarterback, and that's Marcus Mariota. But Arch, you've got another one that seems to always make our podcast. We're always mentioning this guy.
We are the Davis Mills podcast. Who's better, Geno Smith or Davis Mills?
Davis Mills.
I'd think so. And so at just a smidge over 8K, you got to think he could do what Geno could do against Denver at a minimum, right?
I think he 2 times this price easy.
Yeah, so I think this is someone you can put in and build a pretty strong lineup elsewhere. Cooks is always good value. Nico Collins as well, as he starts to develop more and more. I don't mind Davis Mills this week.
No, solid. Running back, Arch, who's your... this is our premium play of the week. So, Arch, you're going to line that up and tell us who we like this week.
Show me the money!
Saquon Barkley is my premium play of the week for Draftstars. Look, at the moment, you look at who he's facing... the New York defense, they're facing a defense that was 30th. Let's just start that again, Rowan. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to start it again. Look, the stream can be unedited, but we can edit this later. I'm going to hit that again.
Show me the money!
Yes. New York are facing the 30th ranked defense in rush DVOA. Okay, so that is good things for Saquon Barkley. So he is my premium play of the week. They allowed 213 total yards last week. Carolina we're talking about. They gave up 2 touchdowns to Hunt and Chubb. Well, they were both to Hunt. But if you combine that 213 total yards to Hunt and Chubb, look, Saquon is Hunt and Chubb in one. So why wouldn't you play him? Is this 2018 Saquon Barkley coming back to us? I certainly hope so, but it's just, I'm not going to call that yet. But definitely can see that his production, 83% total snaps, 18 attempts for 164 yards last week and just 1 touchdown, and that was a huge score. He could easily get in for a couple touchdowns here. What I like to see was almost 70% route participation. He is running routes, which is what we want to see from our running backs. 7 targets, 6 receptions, just 30 yards. But the thing that impressed me is he looked explosive, Rowan. He was making cuts. And if he's making that many routes, if only 30 yards last week, he could easily break off a huge one to the end zone again. So Saquon is my guy, premium play of the week.
Yeah, great play. Love it. I'm going to be playing a lot of Saquon this week, man. He looked phenomenal. My best premium play at running back here that we haven't mentioned is going to be Joey Mixon. Same reason. Dallas suck. And Cincinnati are going to have a lot of opportunity to run the ball. And I think Joe Mixon might just have a bit of a field day here with that. So Joe Mixon there. Next up, I want to bring as a value play here is Michael Carter. Now, Michael Carter, he's sitting here. He's pretty cheap here at $9,440. Against Baltimore, he had 7 receptions for 40 yards and 60 rushing yards on the ground. That's awesome usage here. Joe Flacco is going to check it down to this running back so much, especially against Cleveland with a solid defense. So Michael Carter, I think he's a great value play here. Arch, your value play?
Well, why don't you just jump up $100 more and go Josh Jacobs against a leaky Arizona? What a great play. We saw CEH just do things, didn't he? Isaiah Pacheco as well even got on the, on the bandwagon scoring points. So I think there's plenty of opportunity for Josh Jacobs this week.
For sure. Take it over to wide receivers here. Archie loving Deebo Samuel this week.
Look, Eli Mitchell is out. So move in new running back Deebo Samuel. It's not Jeff Wilson. Deebo is going to be worked to the bone this week. Yes, Jeff Wilson will be still, but they're probably their starting running back. But expect to see a lot of Deebo. And I think just scroll up his price. Just remind me what it is, Ron.
13,370.
That's pretty nice value as well for a premium who can score a lot in a lot of different ways. So I don't mind a little bit of Deebo.
Nice. Look, I'm going to go down a little bit here to Mike Evans. Now, granted, he needs to be healthy for this to be a decent play, but he's up against Marshawn Lattimore, and you know me, I love a good narrative. And Mike Evans and Lattimore have had just some infamous battles throughout the years, and without Chris Godwin, he's not going to be playing. Tom Brady is just going to look to Mike Evans pretty much every chance he can get. He's going to find the end zone most likely because that's just what Mike Evans does. And so solid play at sub 13,000. I'm a big fan of Mike Evans this week. So yeah, love that. I've already talked about my value wide receivers of the week. It's Greg Dortch and Hollywood Brown. I think there's going to be a shootout, so I'm really a big fan of Hollywood Brown and Greg Dortch as my value plays of the week. Arch, you've got another pair that you might want to look at from another team.
I think New Orleans are underrated here. Michael Thomas, didn't he look good being back on the field? And wasn't he excited? The first half was a bit rusty, but the second half, as he built that chemistry with Jameis, because he's been injured, he hasn't practiced much, he hasn't played any preseason. So to see him out there, I think I tweeted, I believe it when I see it when he's on the field. And man, he was up and about. He was frothing from the mouth at one stage. I'm pretty sure I saw on Red Zone. He was pretty when he scored those touchdowns. He was pretty excited. So look, he's 11.4K Michael Thomas. If he's still Michael Thomas, which he showed every indication he is last week, I'm all about Michael Thomas at that price. I want to take it even cheaper. His teammate, running mate, Landry, he on the field just as much as Michael Thomas, earning 9 targets, 33% target per route, 6K. What is going on? I guess the only thing is you got to watch ownership here, and if he fails, he'll hurt you. And so potentially it's something to keep an eye on. Maybe could be a pivot spot, Ron, where if he fails and everyone's on him, if you've got someone else, you could leapfrog a lot of people. Or at 6K, he doesn't have to do too much to make up that value. So
I'm looking at this. I'm going to have 50% Jarvis Landry and 50% Greg Dortch. Thank you very much. And I'm going to walk out the door with some money, hopefully.
Yeah. You're going to have to play some good guys somewhere, though.
Oh, look, there's plenty of cash to be able to do that. That is for sure. Now, it brings us to our fade of the week, though. So hit that button for me, Arch, and we'll talk about our fade of the week.
Declare bankruptcy!
CeeDee Lamb is my fade of the week, and you might be able to see why. Firstly, Lamb is dealing with the loss of his quarterback, Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush comes in, and let's be honest, last year, the Cowboys were the highest scoring team in the league. That's not going to happen with Cooper Rush. So even the game that Rush started last year, he started one game. It was Dallas's third lowest score for the year. So looking here at 12.9K, you've got CeeDee Lamb, who's the 6th most expensive wide receiver on the slate. Get a wide receiver here with a lower chance of a touchdown, a worse quarterback than usual behind an already second-tier O-line that's, been succumbed to injury, and he's coming up against Cincinnati. And Cincinnati last week let Pittsburgh wide receivers go for a mere 12 receptions and 76 yards. That's all the wide receivers. Now, the tight ends, that's another thing. But for CeeDee Lamb and the wide receivers at Dallas, this is a bad matchup. And so I think there's plenty of other options out there than CeeDee Lamb this week. So here's my fade of the week. Let's talk about tight ends, though, Arch, as we wrap up here. What's your favorite play at tight end?
At tight end, look, I love seeing Pat Freiermuth all over the field for Pittsburgh. Plenty of running routes for him. Look, you can pay up a little bit for him this week, but it's still not outrageously expensive. I think he's just someone who can just return value.
Yeah, I like Pat Freiermuth a lot. Speaking about tight ends against Cincinnati, I'm actually happy to pay up for Dalton Schultz this week. I think Cooper Rush is going to have to dump it down a little bit and have those short passes. Dalton Schultz last week had 7 for 62 in a PPR league. Just maybe he's the only one that can make it into the end zone. That's fine. But look, if he's putting up something like that, I'm not too fussed to play Dalton Schultz in this one as well. My value play of the week is going to be Evan Engram. He's playing for Jacksonville. We talked a little bit about that earlier. He's still sitting there at basement 5K, but he's really getting involved in the passing game. He's always getting routes. So 4 for 28 last week, but against the Colts, who just got lit up by OJ Howard for 2 touchdowns. You never know if Evan Engram be the guy here to be that really cheap player for us.
No, absolutely. He's always out there. I'm going with Will Dissly. We saw that, first game with Geno. He was a nice little security blanket. Only the 3 catches, but they were big ones and scored that touch. And shows he can get the touchdown at 5K. I mean, why not? Why not?
Exactly. Take us through with our final thing, which is the defense. 2 defenses to get you thinking, guys. I mean, there's so many options. I probably wouldn't be paying up 10K for the Los Angeles Rams at my defense spot. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here. Arch, who are you liking the look of as your defense for the week? It's Detroit, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't like spending up too much. I'll have a look a little bit closer for more options as well. But Detroit's the one that stood out to me at the moment. Look, against Washington, their over-under has been bet up a fair bit because Wentz threw a lot. To me, that's a recipe for turnovers with Wentz. And so I'm banking on him letting loose, turning the ball over, getting stuck without anyone to throw to, so sacks can happen. So I think Detroit have a good opportunity to score points.
For sure. I'm going to go with Seattle. Seattle's my favorite one out of the 4K plays down here. Look, Trey Lance did nothing to convince me last week. Yes, it was in the rain. Yes, there's more to be seen for sure. But Seattle here, they did all right against Denver, and I could see a Lance fumble or something like that. Either way, I think it's just going to be a low-scoring affair. So Seattle here, I think, is a safe play at 4K. So I'm going to be going with that.
Love it.
Arch, did we want to build up a lineup before we go?
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's do one quick. Let's start with a quarterback stack here. Who's your favorite? You choose our quarterback stack for us.
Well, let's have a look. Let's go through from one of obviously the lineups that we sort of covered.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with a? You're feeling frisky? You want to do a? Do you want to? Oh no, let's not go crazy and do a Washington stack, shall we? No, let's go Derek Carr. Let's.
I think it's pretty safe there.
Bit more floor. What we'll do, we might put this into as a head-to-head. As you do that, I don't know if you're logged in, Rowan, but I can do it the same lineup on my phone into a head-to-head.
You do it. I'm not logged in at the moment. Yep. So obviously we're going to put Devontae Adams there. I'm going to put him in my flex at the moment. I'm a big fan of having wide receivers in my flex.
Yes.
Should we double stack it? Do you want to put a Renfro or a Waller in?
Look, I wasn't too pumped on Renfro.
That's fair.
What's Waller sitting at?
11K. It's a bit dear.
Well, let's come back to that.
No worries.
So we can fit in him later. Shall we start? Do you want to go your Seattle defense to keep the room?
Let's chuck them in. I'm gonna say let's bring it back with. Can we play Dortch as our cheapie, or do you want to play Landry?
Oh, let's go Landry.
Sure. All right, let's play Landry up, and we'll bring it. Do you want to bring it back? I think Marquise Brown's going to pay off his 9.8K price tag here.
Yeah, let's live.
Yeah, let's leave. Good stuff. All right, running backs. Let's do running backs here for a second. We want to play Saquon Barkley. That's a must. I don't mind a little like a mini stack. We could go with something like Henderson and Pitts, or Henderson and London if we wanted to kind of have exposure to the Atlanta-LA game. We could look at something like, I don't know, I said Michael Carter, but yeah, I'm not. Where do you want to sit here with our second running back?
I I did like Chase Edmonds a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that. Cool. It's going to get opportunities.
Let's go Josh Jacobs. We talked about Josh Jacobs. We might as well go with him.
Yep, sure. Josh Jacobs here. That's interesting. So you're going to play the running back there with the quarterback?
Actually.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I wasn't thinking.
All right, let's go back to Chase Edmonds. I like that. Okay. Do we want to play a Baltimore receiver to get access to that side? I find it hard to pick just one Baltimore receiver unless it's Mark Andrews, but really I'd prefer to be playing someone like Pittman.
I think that's a safe pick, especially in a head-to-head.
Yep. And that gives us hey, look at that. It's a dead on
that, Rowan.
Darren Waller. I mean, if that's not... There we go. I'm happy with that one.
You would have thought we bloody planned this. We didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And we said we should have.
I know, that's it. All right. There you go, guys. There's a little head-to-head matchup lineup that we are creating. We're going to put that in the Draftstars lobby, so you can go and find it in the head-to-head section and take us on.
We dare you.
All righty. We dare. That's right.
Could be.
Arch, it's been fun.
Yes.
It's been a good time. And I thank you so much for everyone tuning in. It's been great. Don't forget, you can see us on Twitter and Facebook for all the funny posts and the marketing that we'll put out. But don't forget, guys, that's right. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Jump in the comments. Thank you very much for doing that this week, guys. Apple Podcast 5-star reviews, of course, and you can join Draftstars via the link bit.ly/join Draftstars, and our weekly contest week 2 is up, bit.ly/TFL week 2. We'd love to see you jump into that as well. Of course, gamble responsibly, everyone. Call 1-800-858-858 for help. But Arch, it's been a joy. I can't wait to see how this one shakes out. It'll be fun.
Love it. Catch you guys.